Hello wonderful people, it's Genevieve, and in this video we are going to learn how to draw watercolor fall leaves. So create a new canvas in Procreate and let's get started. I'm personally going to be using brushes and the pre-textured watercolor file from the Ultimate Watercolor Toolbox, which I will link in the description below along with a promo code if you want to check it out. But you can follow the tutorial along using your favorite brushes if you're not looking for the same watercolor effect that we're getting here. So first thing first, go ahead and create a new canvas, or a new layer I should say, and pick a nice burnt orange type of color. And if you do have the watercolor toolbox, go ahead and grab your coloring pencil because we're going to do a rough sketch of the leaf first. And you can use this technique to draw any type of leaf that you want. I'm personally going to be drawing the maple leaf, first of all because I'm Canadian, so I feel like I don't really have a choice, but also because it's one of the most complicated leaves, and I feel like if you guys master the maple leaf from this tutorial, you'll be able to draw any other leaf. So to draw a maple leaf, you're just going to draw a quick circle here, so it's a basic guide, as well as a center line. And you are also going to draw one smaller circle on top and two other on the side, as well as two small ovals on the bottom. Then it's going to be really easy. You're just going to add a point here at the top and 2 points like this, and repeat the same thing on the small ovals. And this one here finally is just going to be 2 little points. So once that is done, go ahead and create a new layer and put it underneath your sketch layer. And with the same burnt orange, go ahead and pick the Dark Edges watercolor brush, and we're just going to color inside the shape. So I'm gonna fast forward because you guys don't need to see me color everything, but you're really just trying to fill in the shape here. Also quite like splitting it in half, just like this, because it makes it a bit easier, you know, to just color everything, but also you'll see later in the process it just looks a bit better when you do that. It's a cool effect. Awesome, so when you have your basic shape, go ahead and hide the sketch layer. And feel free to go grab your eraser. I'm personally going to set it to Thin Intense Watercolor, but you can use any type of eraser you like. And just kind of make the points a bit more pointy. Just like that. And then with the Ultimate Watercolor Toolbox, we have a few blending brushes, such as the water blender, which is the one we're going to use for this step. But if you're using just regular brushes from Procreate, go ahead and grab this blending brush here. Because the next step is to kind of blend these overlapping edges that we might have created a tiny little bit, as well as the middle part here. Without blending in this side, you just want to keep it in the same direction as the line actually is. And you see then you're not going to have the same straight and hard edges that we had before. You're just going to have some sort of a sense that there was a middle line here. Great, once you have this basic shape, you're going to go back to your layer panel here, and you're going to swipe your layer towards the left and duplicate it. And you are then going to merge the two layers you just created by using your 2 fingers and squishing them together, which, there we go, should merge them as one layer. Once that is done, you're going to tap on the layer, and this is going to open the layer option here, and you're going to click on Select, which is going to select what is colored on that layer. You are then going to click here on the bottom on Invert, which is going to invert the selection, and you are going to feather that around 10%. Once that is done, you're going to use the adjustment panel here, Hue, Saturation, Brightness, And you're going to lower the brightness, which you're going to see is going to make the edges of the leaf a bit darker. So lower the brightness, and you can lift up the saturation as well. Maybe play a little bit with the hue, not too much. And you get an effect where the edges are a bit darker. We're now going to add a bit of color variation because right now this is a bit boring and sad if I say so myself. So go ahead and again with the selection tool, draw, making sure it's on freehand, draw a funky shape here at the top that you're going to then feather around 20%. And going back to the adjustment panel here, hue, saturation, brightness again, you're going to lift up the brightness and lower the saturation. And you can play with the hue a little bit too, just to have something that is a bit different. You're then going to repeat this step, but with a different selection and different adjustments. So squiggly shape that you feather around 20%. And going back to hue, saturation, brightness. This time you can lower the brightness a little bit, maybe up the saturation, and make it a bit more of a red hue. Oops. Just like that. And see, now we're starting to have something really interesting happening in our shape. We are also going to erase some parts, so go ahead and double tap on the eraser to open the brush library. And if you have the Ultimate Watercolor Toolbox, go ahead and select the color shifting blushes. And if not, go ahead and select a soft type of airbrush eraser. And just go ahead and gently erase parts of the color. And this is going to help both with the watercolor effect, but also with the dead leaf type of effect, because dead leaves tend to lose their color in some spots and lose some thickness to them so you can see through them. And once that's done, we are going to add some really cool effects to make it look more watercolor. So if you've watched any of my tutorials, you probably know what is the next step. It is the salt brush. So go ahead and select the salt brush. And this brush, you don't have to worry about the color. You just need to make sure that you're dragging it from the outside, so from a transparent zone or a white zone towards your color. So I will start here and just drag it here. Might make it a bit smaller and do it again. And you see it just adds some really cool white speckles in the shape. I am then going to create a new layer on top of the main one. And going back to the brushes section, I'm going to select the splatters. And with the same burnt orange that we haven't changed since the beginning, I'm just going to add splatters on the opposite side of which I added my salt brush. I am then going to change that splatter layer blending mode to linear burn. So click on that N here and select linear burn. And what it does is it just blends the splatters a bit better with the color that is behind it. We are almost done. The last thing we have to do is to draw some veins on that leaf and maybe tweak the shape a little bit. So go ahead and create a new layer that you're also going to change the opacity mode, or blending mode I should say. This time put it to multiply, which is the first one. And go ahead and grab a sketching brush. I am going to use the coloring pencil again, but you can use any sketching brush that you want. And you're just going to draw the middle vein here. And you are going to make the bottom part a bit thicker. And you're going to color it in. Just like this. And you are also going to draw some secondary veins. So starting, I made a mistake just there, starting from the bottom of the leaf, in the case of the maple leaf, towards the top or towards the individual sections, you're just drawing some secondary veins, like I said. And then third layer veins, I guess. I don't know how you would call them, but secondary veins. You're just kind of adding some details here in your leaf. And if you find like they're a bit too sharp or you went overboard, feel free to grab the eraser again and just kind of erase either the edges or the ends or just kind of middle parts to make them softer. And what I quite like to do as well, once I'm kind of done and I see what I'm working with, I really like to select both my main shape layer as well as my vein layer here. And going to the tool icon here at the top, or no, the adjustment icon here at the top, sorry, select liquify, set to push, and that allows you to move the color that is on your canvas. So if your shape is a bit wonky like mine is, you can totally make it look better without having to redraw everything. We are, however, drawing something that is organic. You know, a shape is a shape. A leaf was a living thing at one point. So it's normal that the shape is not going to be like perfect. It's not going to be the Canadian flag. So keep that in mind. But totally do feel free to kind of play around a little bit if you feel like it was not exactly what you wanted. Once you're done, I always like to just select all my layers and group them instead of just merging all of them together. Instead, I want to change something. And so, yeah, you can create a bunch of different leaves with that technique. You see I've created 2 here. And if you do use this tutorial to draw some fall leaves, I would love to see the results, so please share it with me on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. And if you have an idea for a tutorial you would like to see, comment below. Make sure to leave a thumbs up on this tutorial, and don't forget to subscribe because I put out new videos every week.